Hey guys, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. I'm continuing my series on how to sing like. Next up is Pat Benatar. Before we get started, if you wouldn't mind, please like and subscribe to my channel. That'd be really cool. Don't forget to ring the bell so I can keep new cool videos coming your way. And I have a singing course, and that course is called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else. You can find it right here at kentamplinvocalacademy.com, where the proof is in the singing. Now, we're gonna take on Pat. Now, we've gotten a lot of requests for us to take on the most difficult songs to sing in all of pop and rock history and the most iconic, legendary artists. And Pat Benatar certainly fits that bill. So we're gonna get started, but I wanna break Pat up into two different categories, kind of like I did with Ann Wilson. I think of Pat as the 70s Pat, right? With all of, Hit Me With Your Best Shot and a bunch of the early stuff she did. And then I think of the more radio-friendly Pat, which came along later. So we're gonna choose off both of them. But for right now, I'm calling up Cher. Katie's worked really hard, and Katie is very diverse in how many different styles she can sing in. So we're gonna start off and let Katie give it her best shot. Here we go.
Well, you're a real tough cookie with a long history of breaking little hearts like the one in me. That's okay, let's see how you do it. Put up your dukes, let's get down to it. Hit me with your best shot. Why don't you hit me with your best shot? Hit me with your best shot. Fire away.
Now, I'm going to enjoy pointing out the fact that Pat Benatar has come from a very operatic background. She's very bel canto, arpeggio. She's very open throat technique oriented, and you can really hear that in Pat's stuff. And I'll describe this more as we go along. But Pat also had the uniqueness of the power. Here's this little girl, a real small gal, and yet she had all this power, kind of like to the Ronnie James Dio of the Sopranos back in the rock day for girls, right? But she used really good open throat techniques. So if you watch Katie, hit me with your best shot, fire away. It's real open. Now, I'll take these songs and I'll put them in the description so you can see the full versions, how they play out, because I'm just taking snippets so it doesn't, these videos don't go over too long. But I want to point out too that Pat uses some very specific ways she compresses air in the glottis. So you're a real tough cookie. She compresses back the air. She holds back the air like I cover in my singing course while maintaining good open throat technique. So there's an art to that. Let me explain this. We first train the vowels to stay open. A, E, O, and U. Okay, A, E, O, U. So if we were going to kind of run them in a train, I mean, O would be the way the vocal tract looks in the back of the throat. And we train these vowels in a very specific sequence, in a very specific series on going up and down different scales, different variations of the vowels, adding different modifications to control those vowels depending on the range that you're singing in. That's precisely what Pat Benatar does when she sings. So from a technical standpoint, Pat may be one of the most technically correct female rock singers of all time. Now, I'm not saying you might have, Lizzie Hale might be your new favorite, rock singer. That's fine. But from a technical standpoint, Pat actually, I think, takes the cake and has the trophy for that. Even above Ann Wilson as far as technique. So you might like Ann Wilson is better as a soprano or as a belted rock singer. But Pat, from a technical standpoint, really is very well-rounded in her approach to using classical training and bringing that into her technique. So let's continue here with Katie.
You come on, you don't fight fair. That's okay, see if I care. Knock me down, it's all in vain. I'll get right back on my feet again. Hit me with your best shot. Why don't you hit me with your best shot? Hit me with your best shot. Fire away.
Cool. And she hits all the notes at the end, just like Pat. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is grit and distortion. So Pat kind of really with Hell is for Children and some of the stuff she did early on, she really set the precedent, set the bar up pretty high for that. And as I've mentioned in another one of my videos, it's a lot harder for a female to compress. That's why Janis Joplin became so popular. Etta James became so popular. It was a lot harder for females to have overdrive or distort their sound, what's called hyperglottal compression, to compress air at the glottis to get distortion, because their folds are smaller than men and they vibrate faster. So they have to work extra hard at not only getting the distorted sound in a belted chest sound, it's also more difficult for them to get that distortion in head voice or a reinforced falsetto. Much more difficult than a guy, because the guys, we're stretching the folds, with the cricoarytenoid and thyroid cartilage and muscle structure. As we're stretching them, our folds are longer, so they vibrate slower, so we're able to get into a distorted tone, kind of like rattling, our voices. And everyone uses Fry as the example how to get to distortion. I'm using it as an example of how slow the folds actually vibrate. I don't necessarily use that as how we get into distortion, though you can in the beginning stages of wanting to learn how to distort a voice. You can understand the Fry concept, but you got to get out of that concept and you got to get into building big, round, robust vowel sounds first, then learning how to compress the air correctly while maintaining those big vowel sounds. And then you can start to lean into that sound more and more to get the desired distorted effect in different percentages of that for tone and growl, even all the way to the extension of growl. So, all right, so we heard that tune. So this is the phase one of Pat Benatar, let's say. Now I'm going to move on to one of her more later tunes, and I'm picking and choosing different artists that I've worked with, that I've done with. This is Xiomara Crystal. We just did this not that long ago, and she did a great job on this. Check this out.
We're riding with the shadows of the night, so baby take my hand, you'll be alright. Surrender all your dreams to me tonight, they'll come true in the
Sounds just like Pat, but her.
You say, oh girl, it's a cold world when you keep it all to yourself. I said you can't hide on the inside all the pain you've ever felt. Ransom my heart, but baby don't look back, 'cause we got nobody else. We're running with the shadows of the night, so baby take my hand, you'll be alright. Surrender all your dreams to me tonight, they'll come true in the end.
Cool. Now again, if you notice, the similarities of my girls, of everybody, actually, the girls and guys, we're doing girls now. The similarity of the open throat vowels. They just sound like it's so free in the throat. It's so effortless in the throat. And even when they're distorting their sounds, it still sounds effortless. It doesn't sound like they're straining and pulling and squeezing, just choking off their vowels to get to that distortion. The distortion is big and round like Dio, or a big round sound with that distortion desired effect, maintaining clarity in the voice and pitch and control and ease of flexibility, giving up and down these scales and all these difficult songs to sing. It doesn't sound like they're struggling at all, right? That's because we've worked on this. That's what I cover in my singing course, how to get to all of these places effortlessly and just not denying yourself the ability of the freedom in the voice that you can have if you know how to work on this correctly. Now, I'm going to put these in the description again, like I said, so you can check out all of the full-length versions of these. I don't want to take the time to do that now. I'm going to pick off one more. This is Kati again. Check it out. It's We Belong. You'll know this.
Many times I tried to tell you, many times I cried alone. Always I'm surprised how well you got my feelings to the bone. Don't wanna leave you really, I've invested too much time to give you up that easy. To the doubts that complicate your mind, we belong to the light, we belong to the thunder.
Okay, now I want to point something else out. When I work these girls up for singing these songs, we work up in specific ranges. So if you notice, this song sounds like it's kind of low in her register, right? Whereas when Pat does it, it sounds like it's right square in the middle of her tessitura, the kind of the sweet spot of her singing. Well, that's because we worked on this particular day up some really high stuff. We did some Steelheart, we did, some AC/DC, we did, some crazy, like this girl can sing in a lot of different styles. And we had worked our voice up a lot higher. So when it came down to doing a song like this, which some girls may think, well, it's kind of hard and it seems like it's reaching for some of those notes. It's effortless in Katie's part because we work ourselves up to certain registrations that we sing in. That's something else I cover in my singing course on how to be able to take on these different styles so you can set the voice up for specific songs to sing. Okay, let's take a little bit more, listen a little more.
Maybe it's a sign of weakness when I don't know what to say. Maybe I just wouldn't know what to do with my strength anyway. If we become a habit, do we distort the facts? No, there's no looking forward. No, there's no turning back. When you say we belong to the light, we belong to the thunder. We belong to the sound of the falling under.
See how low it kind of sounds in her voice?
Whenever we deny our own praise for words of our better, we belong together.
Cool, and also notice again, open throat technique. You can see down the back of her throat because she's got such good vowel placement that she has no stricture. There's nothing in her throat constricting anything. Her tongue's not going into the back of the throat and clogging up the back of the vowel sounds that she's creating. So anyway, gang, I'm doing most of this by request. So if you've got a request of a singer you want me to do a takedown of, please put that in the description and definitely check out my next video.